They came with ships that could heal worlds. They offered salvation, medicine, perfection, a paradise beyond pain. But they never understood. Humanity doesn't need saving. We only need a reason to keep fighting. When the sky filled with silver light, the world thought the end had come. Then came the message. Not war, not threat, but mercy. They said they were here to preserve us. They said humanity had suffered enough. Stay with me, because this isn't the story of the day the aliens conquered Earth. It's the story of the day we said no. It started with the Ark ships, massive vessels of living metal stretching across the horizon like floating cities. They appeared over every major capital at once, silent, radiant, immaculate. Then came the voice, not in any known language, but every human understood it. We have seen your wars, your grief, your hunger, your endless struggle. You are hurting yourselves. Let us help. The beings called themselves the Seraphon, not gods, but caretakers. They said they'd watched humanity since the dawn of fire, that they could cure disease, end famine, and halt death itself. Join us, they said. We will bring peace to your species. And for a moment, we almost said yes. The first to answer were the dying nations, the ones torn by famine and war. Millions boarded their shining ships. They returned months later, changed. Their skin glowed faintly. Their eyes shone like silver. They didn't feel pain, hunger, or fear. But they also didn't feel much else. They smiled, but it was the smile of someone remembering what happiness was supposed to look like. We are free now, they said. Free from suffering. But when they looked at the sky, none of them ever cried. None of them ever laughed. Something was missing, something human. Governments divided. Half the world wanted to join them, half resisted. And when the Seraphon saw our hesitation, they didn't understand. You choose pain, their envoy said to the UN. Why? A woman stood up, an old doctor from Lagos. Her voice was calm, steady. Because pain teaches, she said. Because grief reminds us we still love what we lost. The Seraphon tilted its radiant head. But you could be perfect. Then we wouldn't be us, she replied. That moment was broadcast everywhere. It lit something deep in humanity's chest. Pride, defiance, that ancient, reckless will to live on our own terms. We stopped sending people to the ships, and that's when the Seraphon began to force salvation. They called it Operation Mercy. They started releasing light spores, microscopic machines that healed the sick, erased scars, rewrote DNA. People cheered at first. Then they realized something horrifying. Those who inhaled the spores began losing memories. Painful memories first, but then the joyful ones too. No grief, no joy, just calm. Billions began to forget why they had ever cared. The Seraphon called it cleansing. We called it what it was, erasure. So, for the first time in history, the world united, not for conquest, not for profit, but to protect what it means to be human. The resistance formed in a matter of weeks. Scientists, soldiers, farmers, poets. They fought not for land or power, but for memory. They called themselves the Keepers because they swore to keep what made us human. They hacked into the alien spores, reverse-engineered their own viruses, built makeshift railguns to punch through Seraphon armor. Humanity at its best, desperate, brilliant, defiant. And when the first Ark ship fell, burning through the clouds like a silver comet, the world cheered like never before. Not because we'd killed, but because we'd refused to surrender our souls. The war didn't last long. Once the Seraphon understood we'd rather die human than live as something else, they stopped. They stood over the ashes of their fallen ships, glowing dimly against the ruins of our cities. Their leader, Aaron, spoke one last time, his voice soft, almost sorrowful. You could have had eternity. General Santiago, the commander of the Keepers, looked up at the being towering above him. He was bloodied, burned, missing an arm, but smiling. "We already do," he said, "every time we choose to live another day." The alien's light flickered, confusion, then understanding. "You are not what we thought." Santiago nodded. Neither were we. The Seraphon left quietly. No vengeance, no return, just silence, and a final transmission broadcast to every device on Earth. It said, "You are the only species we have met that refused paradise. May your courage never fade." Then they were gone. No more light in the skies, no more ships. Just us, bruised, broken, stubborn, and free. Years later, the world rebuilt. Cities grew again, children laughed again, and the few who still remembered the Seraphon sometimes looked at the stars and whispered, "Thank you." But no thank you. Because humanity didn't need saving. We only needed the chance to keep trying. Maybe that's what makes us different. Not our strength, not our intelligence, but our refusal to stop walking, even when the path hurts. So if you ever feel small in the face of the universe, remember this story. The day the gods came to save us, and we taught them what living really means. Stay human, and subscribe for more stories that remind us why we fight, why we fall, and why we always rise again.